Let me guess. You're here for behaviors, components, and resources. I know, I should have talked to you about that before. I'm sorry I didn't fill you in. I keep telling you in almost every single video, behaviors, components, and resources. This is probably, I don't even need models for this, although it could be helpful. This is one of the most simplest concepts to get your head around with the R3 model that you can imagine. Now, actually, I'm going to still use a card, so don't get scared, but, and I noticed I look fat in my videos, so I got to, hold up a little stronger here. But anyway, it's getting late for me. You might be watching this in the morning, drinking your coffee. But behaviors, components, and resources. You'll hear that. Remember when I said there's a three-base system, and there's a lot of theory behind that and everything. But basically, everything boils down to the three-base system, and I say that a lot. And when I say that, I mean three, and then fourth being an environment. Now, that's probably the hardest thing you'll hear about in this video right now, or this explaining to you, is just you've got three, and then you've got your four as its environment. Now, what does that mean? That means, let's say you had color, red, blue, and green. Well, red, blue, and green, if you have red, blue, and green, and you apply it to something, it matters what color you're putting it on, and it changes the color. So basically what I'm saying is, our systems recognize that it kind of treats the fourth as a part of the system. So even though the system itself is based on three, X, Y, and Z, because it matters what environment it's in, it can change depending on what environment it's in. Just like, for instance, okay, I'll give some examples, but if you were hit a ball, you could hit the ball the same way, but depending on what humidity you're in or what wind speed is, which is your environment, it matters how far it goes. Okay, so this is so simple. And anytime you get lost in the R3 model, come back to this. This is the most simplest and the foundation. Behaviors, components, and resources, what are they? Behaviors are simply, and they correspond to three shapes. A behavior is in a cube. A resource is in a tetrahedron or a triangle. Tetrahedron represented by a triangle, one's represented by a square, and but it's shown in the system as actually three-dimensional. And then the other one is a sphere. So you only have three shapes to deal with. That's all. And everything will boil down to the behavior, which is the action. It's a defining of the action. Now, in this information system model, what we're doing is we're defining the entire system, but we use different shapes to define it. Remember when I said the behavior is in a cube, or we block a behavior? Well, that's framing it in the what, why, who, how, where, when. Those kind of things. That's the behavior. The tetrahedron, I won't go over the sides and the edges of that. And then there's the sphere, which is a component. Think of, and remember when I said subject, matter, verb? That's your simple syntax of a sentence, or your simple sentence. Subject, you know how in subject and matter can change? Like Jane bit dog, dog bit Jane. Sometimes the subject is the matter, sometimes the matter is the subject, so it's sometimes confusing. Well, in the same way, the verb is pretty easy to come up with. That's the behavior. That's very, very simple. And a behavior is only just defining an action. Like right now, this would be a behavior. A behavior of me, the behavior starts with me saying okay, and then turning around and saying, oh, that thing, and then shutting off the video. That maybe is a behavior, okay? But then the component of it might be this might be a component. This is an information. This is a card that I create. That's a component. So a component is any type of information, basically an information deliverable that helps run the system. Now, when you start becoming an R3, let's say you became an R3, and every R3 right now is being developed into SharePoint, into Centerport right now. So when you become an R3, you're actually building components. That's what makes up an R3. You're building components to build your R3. And maybe this is somewhat hard to understand in the aspect of until you start using it. But when you boil down your system, if you can just always remember, it only boils down to a behavior component and then a resource. A resource is like the camera that I'm using right now, an Atrix, is a resource. Why is that a resource? Well, it's not it's not a behavior. It's not a whatever. It's not a behavior. It's not a component. So it's a resource. A resource usually is built maybe by someone else, or it's made up, and it's something to help you function. In the R3 model, it's all about helping you live out your role, whether you're an individual, whether you're a city that's trying to run. You could boil everything down to a behavior, then the component, and then a resource. But actually, I won't grab them. Well, I won't grab the model. But remember when I said there's 27 regions? Well, in each region, you can almost see this as like a little galaxy, or a little an atom or a galaxy. Basically, in each region, you have behaviors, kind of like protons, electrons, and neutrons. Basically, you have these sets that make this system run, and all that's needed is components, resources, and behaviors. So anytime you get lost in the system, always go back to that. And why is this so important? This is so important because if you can start realizing that your entire life and your entire business boils down to improving, you only can improve three things. You can either improve your behavior, improve your resource, or improve your component. Let me give you an example. Let's say right now I could improve this, what I'm doing right now, by upgrading my camera. That's upgrading my resource. Or I could upgrade this chair. Or I could upgrade my gut, so it doesn't, whatever. But basically, but if I want to upgrade it through a component, then I would basically maybe save it in a different file, or upgrade. Like I could improve it by improving this sheet of paper here that basically is part of my system that gets printed out. Now, I really would like to know if you're understanding this, really understand this. So, but in every video, you'll probably hear components, resources, and behaviors. All we're doing is defining these three primary elements in every system. And there becomes hundreds and thousands eventually of behaviors, components, and resources. Your life, if you boil your life down to only these primary elements, you will be able to manage your life better as long as you have a system to harness this, which is the R3 model, which we're attempting to build in SharePoint. So, I hope this is helpful. Let me know if you know and understand behaviors, components, and resources. Thank you.